Okay. What do you recall about life before 9/11, such as traveling by plane, security at airports or other locations, and terrorist behaviors?
Before 9/11, um, Americans felt like they could not, we could not be attacked, and I felt the same way. I never envisioned a foreign entity coming over here and attacking us on our soil. So that was very shocking. And I also noticed just all kinds of this security just being beefed up, not just at the airport, but just like if you had something that even vaguely resembled a bomb, like just a briefcase or something, everybody was kind of panicking. And I, I, I also just remember, uh, when you go to fly somewhere, you just buy your ticket and walk through a metal detector and you're good to go. It's just a lot more scrutiny after 9/11.
Okay. So, were you scared of being attacked by terrorists before 9/11? Why or why not?
Before 9/11, the thought never entered my mind. Like I said, I never even thought that anybody would have uh, the audacity to even come over here.
Okay. So, on the day of the event, how did you find out about the attacks? What were you doing at the time?
On the day of the event, I was in my second year of teaching. I was teaching a sixth grade class, and one of my coworkers came up to me and said, "Did you see that on the news?" And he told me to turn on the news, and then the first plane had hit the building, and I just was in shock. At the time when I first found out, and most people didn't either, we didn't think that it was a terrorist attack. We knew it was something crazy, but we didn't know it was a terrorist attack. We just kind of thought, well, I don't know. Was it an accident? We were just in shock. And then as soon as that second plane flew into the other building, we knew we were under attack. And I just remember just being in shock, and I just didn't have any words. I had a baby son that was due to be born within the few days, and I just was thinking like, wow, my son is getting ready to be born into this world, and it just made me think.
Okay. So, what were your first feelings or emotions when you heard about the attacks?
Um, After the shock wore off, my emotions, I just was afraid for what type of world my son was going to grow up in. It was going to be my first child, and I was already nervous about being a father, but when that happened, I was really nervous about the type of world my son was going to grow up in.
Okay. So, what was your most vivid memory of that day?
I remember, first I remember when somebody told me about it, and then I first looked at it on the news. But my most vivid memory was at lunch break. I just went to the car and I was going to get something to eat, and really I wasn't hungry. I just wanted to leave the building, and I just remember listening to the radio. It was Howard Stern on the radio, and he was still broadcasting live while that was happening, and he was in New York, and I just remember listening to him just talk about it, and like, Howard Stern's usually kind of a joke kind of guy, like, and he just was just serious, and I just vividly remember driving and listening to Howard Stern talk about it.
Okay. So, what do you remember about the nation and its leaders coming together in the days of the following September 11th?
Well, as we know America, there's all kinds of different races and different people in America, and a lot of times those people are in conflict. But I remember after that happened, race, religion, just all of those things that set us apart or separate us didn't matter anymore. I just remember everybody just kind of coming together. And although that was a horrific event, I mean, it kind of felt good. I had never felt like that in this country. Like, I've never felt like just so unified.
Okay, so what did you think of the government's reaction to the attacks in the days of the months after the attack?
Um, like I said, I like how, like, I was never a George Bush fan, but after that happened, I felt like I felt really supportive of George Bush. Um, like everybody was unified. However, when he decided to go into Iraq, but that was a few years later, I strongly disagreed with that because it seemed like he just wanted to attack an Arabic country for his own reasons, because nobody from Iraq had anything to do with Afghanistan. So I strongly disagreed with the Iraq war, but I did agree with going into Afghanistan and trying to find bin Laden.
Okay. How have the additional security measures at airports make you feel?
They make me feel comfortable, and I support them 100%. I know some people are upset because it seems like an inconvenience because they're late for whatever, but I feel like whatever we need to do to make us as safe as possible, I'm supporting.
Okay. So, what do you believe is our nation's greatest security threat and why?
I believe our nation's biggest security threat is us, because if we don't come together, the nation is going to fall apart. The chances of being attacked, a terrorist attack, me being killed in a terrorist attack, are almost the same as lightning striking me. I feel like we need to get ourselves together.
Okay. So, do you think that terrorism can be defeated? Why or why not?
No, terrorism cannot be defeated because there are always going to be people in the world who think the way those terrorists do. And, I mean, you just can't get rid of or stop all the ignorant people in the world. So terrorism cannot be defeated, but I believe that we could at least keep it in check.
Okay. So, how has 9/11 changed you?
9/11 changed me. It just makes me more appreciative of my family and the life that I'm living. It has also made me realize that as Americans, we are vulnerable to attack just like any other country in the world. Before that, I thought that America would never be attacked, but now I realize that it's possible.
Okay. So, how has 9/11 changed our nation or the world?
Well, it's changed the nation in a few ways. One of them, and some of them are positive and some of them are negative. One of the positive ways it changed our nation is we're a lot more careful, and security is a lot more enhanced. But it also changed us in a negative way because it brought out prejudices and hate towards all Muslims. And, that was never there before 9/11. But after 9/11, all kinds of things like profiling and, hate groups forming and people attacking others just because they're Muslim. So, that was some of the negative ways that 9/11, well, it was all negative, but, that was one of the negative ways 9/11 changes.